one of the things that I think is key to sustaining the work of making disciples and wanting to see multiplication to third and fourth generation is God gave me this word, ebb and flow, and it's all to do with abiding in Him and how important it is to keep going back to HQ in order to pray and for God to refresh us, refill us, and give us instructions, and then we flow out of that place. So there's a lot of examples of where Jesus did that. Jesus models ebbing and flowing. For example, when John the Baptist was beheaded, the Bible tells us that he wanted to be alone, but then the crowds find him and he has compassion on them, he ministers. We get the miracle of him and his disciples feeding 5,000 people. So there's all this activity that goes on. But then once that's done, it says that Jesus goes up a hill alone to pray. And there's other examples of where he does that is casting out demons, praying for people that have been possessed by the devil, people that have got diseases and so forth. And again, after that, it says before daybreak, which to me would be about 4 a.m., 5 a.m., he goes up a mountain to pray. Now, when he comes down, his disciples are saying, like, where are you? Come on, we need to continue this revival movement is happening, stuff's happening. But he says, actually, I've got to go to the next place and I've got to go and preach at this next place. This is why I've come. And one asked the question, did he know that because he went up before daybreak to spend time in prayer before God, to then get that instruction to actually not stay where movement was happening, but to go and create movement somewhere else? So the whole thing of the ebb and flow, the abiding, going back up the mountain to pray is key for, I think, also instructions in the things that we're doing. And like I said, it's flowing out of that place where we've been with God. We've heard specific instructions that I do believe that He gives in terms of the work that we're doing. And then another example is where He takes His disciples up the mountain. We see where He takes, who were they? Peter and John, and they go up the mountain. So Jesus is not only going up by Himself, but modeling this to His disciples, and we need to do the same. Our disciples that we are raising up, our Timothys, who we're passing things on to, that are passing things on to other faithful people. We need to model with them the ebb and flow. We need to model the solitude times of prayer, that seasonal times of prayer where it might be before daybreak, it might be all through the night, which Jesus did, is something that we need to have a rhythm of and be open to practicing in movement. And if you do study the times where Jesus went up to the mountain to pray, you find that He didn't do this every week, He didn't do it every day, it's not sustainable, but it was sort of in seasons. So there's something about being in tune to the Spirit to hear when you need to kind of go up the mountain. Another great example of this is when things got really busy, and it tells us in the Bible that the work was moving fast, people were hearing, crowds were coming, and then it says Jesus often withdrew. So I think that's a key thing. When things begin to increase, even more so, we need to be clocking, actually, maybe I need to be going up the mountain a little bit more as work is increasing, for that rhythm and flow of the Holy Spirit, so that we keep being effective and allowing the Spirit to do what only the Spirit can do. And so there's a certain type of prayer as well that I felt God speaking to us about, persistent prayer. Again, it's in the Word. We see where Elijah, climbs a mountain, I'm sure, with his servant, and he's got his head between his knees and he's praying, and it's a persistent type of persevering prayer, and he's not stopping until we read in the Bible he sees his servant sees the small fist and rain's coming. So it's this type of prayer that is needed in movement, it's a type of prayer that's sort of, you know, we're not letting go until we see breakthrough. Opposition comes when you're in movement, so there has to be a type of aggression, if you like. Paul says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, and no, there's not a devil under every rock, but there is a wrestling, there is a type of spiritual warfare that is needed when we're involved in movement and going out into the dark areas and bringing the light into those areas. Persistent prayer is needed to push things forward and to push back the forces of darkness that do come against us.